Prime Minister Office Budget Office has said that Canada will be posting a $1 billion deficit at the end of this year. Justin Trudeau has stated that he would not promise to balance the budget right away, but he has already made $6.6 billion of spending promises. Is a balanced budget not a priority for the Liberal Party?
I think it is absolutely a priority for the Liberal Party. If you look back at the previous Liberal government, the Chrétien years, the Martin years, Canada went from, under Mulroney, one of the biggest deficit debts, one of the biggest national debts, a huge deficit every year that was 42 million, 50 million, ran into hundreds of millions. I mean, it became almost a scandal in terms of the billions of dollars. By the end of the Mulroney years, we were running in deficit. What Chrétien and Martin did was brought the economy back into shape so that by the mid-1990s, we were running surpluses, and they ran those surpluses every year until Par Martin left office. In the last year of the Martin government, there was a $13 billion surplus. Within 2 years, Mr. Harper has run that surplus into a deficit, and he's run 8 straight deficit budgets. And even this year, where he claims, by virtue of selling certain stock and taking away our accumulated surplus and all of our reserves, that he was going to run a balanced budget, even the budgetary officer doesn't agree with him and says we're going to be in a deficit again this year. I think this is a horrible example of how to run an economy. And for me, as a mayor, where you got to balance your budget every year, you don't have a choice. If you don't make a balanced budget, you have to tax the next year to pay off the deficit you ran the year before. We have absolutely no choice but to run a balanced budget. And all of Trudeau's promises that he's made this year have been costed and accounted for to say how he's getting the money to pay for any new promises. For example, the middle class tax cut and the family allowances are being paid for by the raise on people who earn more than $200,000. So the Liberal budget, as opposed to the NDP that's made all kinds of billions of dollars of promises with no explanation of how they're going to find the money, on the Liberal side we have done that and we will continue to do that. And I do believe, for me, I always say to people, I'm a social liberal and I'm an economic conservative. I believe that we have to be careful in what we spend, that we don't spend more than we have. We have to take care of the poor and the people that need money, but we can't run the government into deficit. And I will be one of those voices in the Liberal Party calling for making sure that we run surpluses year after year after year and don't run deficits.
Now, if in the first year the Liberal Party runs a deficit, after criticizing Harper for running multiple deficits over the course of many years, would you criticize the leader of the Liberal Party for not running a balanced budget?
Well, so this is my comment to that, right? In the federal and provincial systems, as opposed to municipal, people run deficits all the time. I don't think that's a good practice. I think it's a very bad practice. But until you actually see the books and you take over, you have no idea where things are. If the actual deficit this year is in the billions of dollars, for example, then there's not a practical way you can immediately fix that the next year without drastically hiking up taxes. So to me, depending on the state of the economy and the state of the budget, you have to look at that and determine in how long can you balance the budget. But certainly within a reasonable time frame, that budget should be balanced and not running a deficit. I think that's what Justin Trudeau was trying to say. He doesn't know the state of the books. You can't promise without knowing that what it'll be in year one, but our goal is to run balanced budgets.